Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Now, as nominated by Peter Beveridge, I have to list my top 10 computer games of all time. Now, I could have quite easily have typed this all out, as everyone else has done that has been nominated to do this. But, hey ho, this is what I do these days. I make videos, and I'm making a video on my top 10. After this video, I would like you to like and subscribe to the channel, if possible. And I would also like to nominate Boris Grishnikov, Ian Mackey, and Lindsay Walsh to do the same, if they so wish. If they don't, who gives a fuck? Enjoy. Donkey Kong Country 2, Diddy Kong's Quest. The Donkey Kong Country series, before its reboot, was probably one of my most favourite platformers, besides Mario. The second one, the one that's made the list, is probably my favourite for a couple of reasons. I'd always like Diddy, like ever since I played the first one. I just thought it was cool. He wore a red cap, and yeah, like whenever I was playing Donkey Kong, the first one, if Diddy ever died, I was upset up until I found a barrel to get him back out, really. So when the second one came out, and you were playing as Diddy, like he was the main hero of the game, and I was ecstatic. I thought it was great. But I mean the gameplay of this one, they're all great. All three of them are great. But this one, the levels were all really, really interesting. Like the one inside the beehive and the honeycomb, and you have to jump up like the sticky honey walls and all that stuff, and then loads of other things. Like the level design of all of them was really, really good. Like there's one level where you have to play as the parrot, and you're flying through this bramble bush, and it's solid. The whole game, on the whole, is so difficult compared to the rest of them. But that was great. That's part of the charm of Diddy Kong Country 2, and all the collectibles that you could get, like the DK coins and the Kremlin coins to get yourself to the Lost World and get the second ending. It was all really, really sweet. Like one of my best memories of it is the fact that my mother was an avid Super Nintendo player, so whenever a new game come out, I didn't really have to hint that much, because my mum would go out and buy it for herself. Really, it was great. And one of the best things about this game is the music. I love the music in the Donkey Kong Country games. The first one had amazing music, but this one in Bramble Bush, I'll just let you listen to it for a little bit, and you can just appreciate how good the music was for this game. So, I mean, listen to that. That's amazing. That's great music. So it just sets the tone for the level, and it's some of the best game music in history. Metal Gear Solid on the PlayStation 1. Now, Metal Gear Solid is on this list for a great many reasons, but one of them being that when me and my best mate in the entire world, Peter Beveridge, first started hanging out, it was to play this game. And I can remember that the first playthrough that we did, from the start of the game to the very end of the game, we played it, we took turns, we beat it, but in no way did we take it seriously. We took the piss out of everything. Absolutely everything. from Otacon pissing himself. Otacon being a whiny little bitch for the entire game. Anytime Mei Ling said anything, Peter does a way better Mei Ling impression than I do. Obviously when Snake dies and the Colonel freaks out about it. But yeah, I can just remember us taking the blind piss out of it, and it probably sounds like the most juvenile, immature shit you could think of, but at the time, it was good times, man. We had each other in stitches just playing this game and taking the piss, and it stuck with me for a long time. But I've obviously played the game a lot since then, and it stuck with me because it is an amazing game. Story, it's like an interactive movie. You've got all your codec calls and your cutscenes that tell a really good story from start to finish. Like my favourite part of the game is when Master Miller is revealed to be Liquid Snake, you know, the main antagonist of the game. And you know, there's a lot of holes in that, thinking back on it now, and Metal Gear Awesome does a good job of making fun of that. But yeah, I know it's a great story that gets told for the entire thing, and the gameplay as well. I mean, I can't say I'm spectacular at the stealth game. I can go through some playthroughs not getting seen, other ones where I'm just getting caught and shooting things. But there was a lot of different things to do in the game. It wasn't just sneaking about. I mean, there's one bit where you are controlling a remote control rocket missile to take out a generator because the floor's electrified. That was really interesting. There's a lot of different things that's done in that game, and I remember one of my best memories of that game is thinking I was an absolute genius for figuring out that in the warehouse storage building, where you cannot use weapons inside of it, you get into it by crawling through a slightly open, large door. And I realised that you could use the sniper rifle and duck under there and take everyone out. And because I remember before I figured this out, that section on its own was really hard because you didn't have any weapons. You've got to kind of sneak about. But I just remember being so proud of myself that I figured that out, and I don't know if anyone else has or probably have. But yeah, Metal Gear Solid, one of the best games ever made in my opinion. It made the list.
Resident Evil 3.
Resident Evil 3. This game has so much to it, and that includes memories and actual fun of playing the game. But this was a great Resident Evil game. I think it's sorely overlooked sometimes because Resident Evil 2 was so good, but Resident Evil 3 had a lot going for it as well. You know, and this was probably the last Resident Evil before they started, you know, like obviously before 4, and 4 was good. You know, I played 4, not to completion, but I played 4. But then 5 took it to a new level, and 6 was just awful. I got it quite recently. I've played it for about an hour or so. I'm already bored, and it's just far too action based, and it's not survival horror. You know, Resident Evil 3 had an amazing survival horror element to it, purely because of the Nemesis and the fact that fucker could appear at any time, and it could be off screen because of the fixed camera angles, but you knew that fucker was around because of the fucking music, and you shat yourself. But yeah, and again, like, I love the Resident Evil story up until 4, because then it starts to get a bit silly. But one of the main things I can remember is, again, going back to playing games with my best mate, Peter Beveridge. We sat and played this all night one night, and I just remember it, like, playing it at night, and just the whole experience was just great. And then we found the extra costumes, which included a 70s flare type suit, and we got the enhanced Magnum, which then turned it into a farce, as we often did when it came to the computer games. And, you know, 70s suit, big, massive hand cannon, you know, it was like Charlie's Angels, Resident Evil style. But again, some of that shit that just stays with you, funny as fuck. to me anyway. But yeah, Resident Evil 3 is my my favourite Resident Evil game, and I think I might order it and give it a nice little let's play quite soon. And I'm sure that opening sequence title screen alone should bring back many memories for you and let you know exactly how awesome this game is. Super Mario World for the Super Nintendo. Now this game was the ultimate SNES game, and it was my first SNES game. And this game was just fun. From start to finish, it was just fun. It was difficult as well. I was not without many bouts of Mario Rage at this game, but it was fun, and it was the first introduction for Yoshi, one of my favourite characters in the Mario franchise. I love Yoshi. He has a spot on my arm for a tattoo very soon. I don't really need to go into much about Super Mario World. Everyone's played this game, everyone must love this game, so yeah, this made the list, most definitely. Batman Arkham City. Now it's made the list because it is quite possibly the best superhero game that lets you become the superhero in question, being Batman. Now Spider-Man 2 for the PlayStation 2 is a very close second to this game, but I'm just going to go with general story and gameplay elements that you become the Batman. That's essentially what the game provides to me. The stealth parts I enjoy more than anything. You've got a massive city to explore. Detective mode, putting shit together, not too fast. Combat, amazing, love it. It is picture perfect. Not a fan of Arkham Origins, and I just don't think that was done well at all. But I am a fan of the franchise. Arkham Asylum was amazing, but Arkham City just tops it on everything that Arkham Asylum did right. Arkham City did way better, so that's why it's on the list.
We thought we had him trapped, but he was waiting for us.
So Gears of War has made the list, quite specifically Gears of War 2. Now, I had never heard of the game until I was round at my pal Stu's one night. He decided to check a 2-player game on, and it was Gears of War 2. And I was instantly hooked. The gameplay was amazing. It was so much fun. Co-op was great. You've got your duck and cover shooting system, and it's fairly gory. You could fuck shit up, boom, headshots, all that shit. But then I obviously started playing the game, and I started the franchise on Gears of War 2, and yeah, as I say, I was hooked. The story was incredible. Like, I felt for every character, and I felt a part of this war and this really fucked up thing that was going on in the story. The hardship of war that these guys were facing, because they were on the back foot of the battle with the Locust at this point. And then obviously went back and played Gears of War 1. Didn't enjoy that as much. It felt quite short, Gears of War 1. But Gears of War 2 had the right mix of everything. And I finished the series, Gears of War 3, and played the Gears of War Judgment. I'm just a massive fan of that franchise, to the point where I've got a tattoo of Gears of War. And yeah, Gears of War 2 made the list. So Grand Theft Auto 5 has made the list. The Grand Theft Auto 5 is probably the most recent release to make my list, but I've been a fan of Grand Theft Auto since I played the first one on the PlayStation 1. A little top-down perspective. Fucking shit up. I seem to remember there being missions in Grand Theft Auto 5. I can't ever hold my hand up to saying I ever played any of them. Obviously Grand Theft Auto evolved to the 3D sandbox game that we have now, via the start of that being Grand Theft Auto 3. I remember playing the missions on that again, but I don't remember playing the story all the way through. San Andreas, that was the first that I played, start to finish with the story. I mean, even Vice City I never even bothered, because everyone can agree that not many people play Grand Theft Auto for the missions. Let's be honest here. First time you control your character, it's, right, where's the nearest gun shop? Let's fuck shit up. That's the crux of anyone's Grand Theft Auto 5 experience, but or Grand Theft Auto experience for that matter. But Grand Theft Auto 5, that opened up to a whole new level of shit to do and shit to fuck up, and you'll see many videos of shenanigans on Grand Theft Auto 5 on this channel, and it's a very welcome member of my top 10 games. Okay, so I will go down on record as saying that the Nintendo 64 produced one of the best wrestling games ever made in No Mercy. And there are loads of other factors that make this the best wrestling game ever, which I will get into, but on the gameplay alone, the way that you control the wrestler, the way that you perform your moves and move the guy around the ring, move the other guy around the ring, it just all makes sense. There's no other wrestling game since then that has been able to capture that feel of being in control of a wrestler for every facet of the match. It gets everything right in my book. The grapple system, locking up, picking a move, going through it. You've got the option to switch, send them in, all that kind of stuff. And then you've got your spirit meter in the way that you build up to your big finish and your big power moves. And you've got your body physics. If you're working on an arm or a leg, eventually that's going to take its toll to the point where a submission's going to be easier. Stuff like that. And I know that wrestling games since then have done that, but they've never been able to do it, in my opinion, as well as No Mercy. And then you've got your counters. Depending on what style your guy is, will depend on what kind of counter he'll do. If he's a big power guy, he's just going to launch you off you or hit you with a big clothesline. If he's a technical counter guy, he's going to take you down and put you in a hold. And the weapons and the ladders, there's so much crazy shit you can do with the weapons, the ladders, the tables, the chairs. Stick anything in the ground and you can, do moves on these weapons. Obviously we can go into the graphics haven't aged that well and what have you, but I think the game engine itself should be the model on what wrestling games are made on. And then you go into the story mode. The story mode itself is really good. It's got branching paths. No one playthrough is the same, depending on what you do. And then you start off on the Royal Rumble, and depending on how far you get is depending on what story goes on. And then you've got one of my favourite parts of any wrestling game is create a wrestler mode, which I would spend hours doing. Not just on the guys that I would make, but of the superstars as well, which is done now, but back then you know, the other games on, like, say, the PlayStation or whatever, you couldn't edit the guys, the superstars. No Mercy, you could. And I would spend hours after a week of wrestling, like the second after watching Raw, I would see who was there, and I would edit them to look. If there was any changes, I would edit them to look exactly like they did on TV that week. But the one bad thing I will say about this game is the music got on my tits, and I'm sure everyone can agree with that. But yeah, No Mercy, Nintendo 64, best wrestling game ever. Well, I had to pick one Zelda game, and the Zelda game that I'm picking is Ocarina of Time. Has to be. Now, A Link to the Past holds a very close second. That was a great game. Great memories with that game. Another huge part of my childhood. But Ocarina of Time was just so good for its time. It was massive. The overworld was massive. The story was massive. It was one of the best Zelda games ever made. And Zelda's been with me since I was a child. I mean, I can remember playing Zelda 2. I think that was the first Zelda game I played. I can't honestly hold on to any memory of playing the first Zelda. Like, I played it recently, obviously, and I played it on my 3DS, and I played Zelda 2 on my 3DS, and see, playing Zelda 2, it's so hard. It's difficult. I can't remember dying as much when I was little. But yeah, they made that game completely different to anything else in the series. But I would say Ocarina of Time nips it for all the reasons I mentioned. Like, my favourite part of Ocarina of Time is going inside the Jabby Jabby's belly. All the shit with that. That was quite a difficult dungeon, to be honest. And then you're getting, you know, my favourite piece of Zelda items, things that you collect, the Zora pendant. But as I say, the game holds its own today. It's that good of a game. Like, I will happily go and play that and try and complete it in a sitting.
It's me, Mario! Hello!
So here we have another Mario game. Super Mario 64, or obviously the N64. Now, this was my first N64 game when I unwrapped it on a Christmas morning. Setting a tone for most Nintendo consoles that I ever got. Getting a Mario game with it. But I've obviously played a lot of Mario games, and Super Mario World made top 10 list. And this game did as well, because it was just, for the time it was revolutionary. It was the first fully 3D Mario game, set the tone for 3D platformers ever since. So much fun, so much to do, and it's a very welcome addition to this list.